96.3 and 103.7. Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
I profoundly accept this nomination.
We need a president who stands up for America, not one who takes a knee.
The violence and chaos we're seeing now.
Rioting, looting, arson.
They do not safeguard black lives.
While the hurricane was fierce.
Ready for the worst.
The playoffs will pick right back up.
People are a little tired of the NBA.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome in. It is News and Views for a Friday. And I got a message on Facebook the other day. Where's Sadie? I am sorry to say Sadie has gone ahead and headed up to Virginia. She and her husband have wanted to move to the mountains for a long time. And we're still going to hear from her from time to time. We've got the technology that once in a while we're going to hook her up and it'll sound like she's right in the studio with us. But it's not going to be the everyday occurrence that we had for 11 years. But joining me today is local conservative Eastern North Carolina boy, Benny Hardy. Benny, welcome in.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
Good. Can we get his mic up? Is his mic up, Clark? Try again. Say that again.
How's this, Tom?
I still don't hear you. All right. Benny Hardy. As soon as we can get Clark to get that, believe it or not, we tested out the mic, but we're gonna get you up and running here in a minute. I do want to talk to Benny, and I'd love to hear from some of our listeners as well concerning the job that the Republican Party did over the last couple of days. The last 4 days on the convention. Benny and I were talking before we went on the air, and both of us agree that the Republicans, I think, let's see, try that again.
How's this?
Oh, there you are.
All right.
There you are. Benny Hardy, ladies and gentlemen. What a way to debut with your mic off.
That may be the best way.
Now, you and I were talking before we went on the air. The Republicans hit it out of the park. I mean, it's really interesting to hear the negativity from the mainstream media. But in my estimation, they hit it out of the park. And as I mentioned to you just a moment ago, I think that the Democrats have got to be shaking in their boots.
I agree. I try to look at these things objectively. Admittedly, I'm a political junkie, and I watch both conventions and almost do every 4 years. And honestly, the RNC's convention was what I typically expect out of the Democrats, because you have to give the Democrats credit in most years. Their conventions are, they stay on message. Their imaging is perfect. Not so much this time, and the RNC was prepared. And I gotta wonder that maybe we saw that this is now Trump's party. And,
for sure.
And it was not necessarily in 2016. And Trump obviously has television experience, and he's certainly a self-promoter. So I think they hit it out of the park.
And again, this is, I think, a little bit of a reflection of the private sector versus the public sector. And for all intent, I realize the Republican Party per se is not, they're not a part of the government. But there's so many government officials entrenched in both the Democrat and Republican Party. And you have the oversight of a guy who's got a big private career background, and I think a little bit of that is a reflection of that. I also think, though, that this very well could be the new norm for conventions. I think the days of these long, drawn-out speeches, and I will say, I will be a little critical of the president. I thought his speech was a little long last night. I thought 70 minutes, when you're looking at your watch and you're wondering, when is this thing going to be over? The content was good, but I think they should have made it a little bit more concise. Probably had Ivanka shorten her message a little bit too. But overall, the 4 days overall, I think they hit it out of the park. I give them an A+.
I agree. And, I think they said maybe it was 70 minutes. And, of course, Trump's, they probably meant it to be 50. And but he stayed on message.
Yeah.
And thank goodness he didn't ad-lib too much. But he stayed on message and hit all the points that I think they wanted him to hit. So I was really impressed.
One of the highlights before they got to Ivanka and before they got to Donald was, and again, they did a great job mixing in. I don't remember seeing any celebrities per se in terms of Hollywood celebrities. They had Herschel Walker, who was an athlete, and they might have had one or two, but I don't remember any. But most of them were people that worked with Donald Trump, had a relationship with Donald Trump, either in the White House or before the White House and into the White House. But a lot of them were just everyday people. But I thought one of the most powerful, I thought two were really powerful last night. One was Ann Dorn, who was the widow of David Dorn. He was the former police chief in the St. Louis area. I don't know if it was from the city of St. Louis or a suburb around there. But he was, during these Black Lives Matter protests, he went down to help protect a pawn shop of a friend of his, and he was shot and killed in cold blood. His wife gave a testimony of how Donald Trump had reached out to them and how the Black Lives Matter movement was just a false narrative, and it was doing more to harm the Black lives. What's interesting is she's Caucasian, he's African American. She was there with some of, I guess it was his brothers who were at the speech last night. But I thought, I mean, you looked at that, you couldn't, if you didn't get a tear in your eye when she was talking, there was something wrong with you. And it was powerful. But I saw also another powerful one was Alice Marie Johnson. Mm-hmm. She was the woman that was in prison for 22 years, and apparently, it was an overzealous judgment on her that put her in prison. And by the way, today, it was announced just about an hour ago that President Trump, so he gave her a commutation 2 years ago. Today, he gave her a full pardon. So she's fully pardoned on that. But her testimony, oh my gosh. I mean, the excitement and just, I mean, it was almost like you were at a some sort of gospel revival meeting to hear this woman talk. And I mean, she was just praising God, but also praising Donald Trump for what he had done. And I thought that was strong. So it's going to be really interesting. The Democrats, and even what was the guy's name that was the black guy that used to be the head of the RNC? Michael Steele. Mm-hmm. He even came out today and said, "Oh, this is all bogus. These people are, they're just hand-picked puppets of Donald Trump. Give me a break." These same people that would come out and say, "We don't like the Republicans because they never come out and ask us for their vote, or they never do anything for the black community." And you finally have a president who has done unbelievable things for the black community. And I don't think it was an overstatement that he has done more in 3 years for the black community than Joe Biden has done in 50 years. I don't think that's an overstatement. I think if you go back and actually look at the record, I think you're going to find that to be true. But all of these people are now, it's hypocritical. There's nothing to it. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think, Tom, that the Republicans that are coming out against Trump, it's probably a process. Hey, they didn't get an invitation to the dance, and so now they're upset.
Well, isn't it interesting that Jeff Flake?
Yeah, interesting name.
He is heading up a group of ex-GOP office holders. Maybe there's a reason why they're all ex-GOP office holders. I mean, I'm sorry, but loser.
Yeah, actually, Michael Steele, when he was the RNC chair, I actually liked Michael Steele prior to...
What happened to him?
Well, he was just an ineffective RNC chair, and I guess he just dropped off the map. I don't know. I'm not sure.
But is that an opportunist? Is that somebody who is, okay, if I'm going to be in charge, I will carry the water for the conservative cause because I've gotten a good job out of it. Because now he's always on some liberal cable news network, and he's always bad-mouthing the Trump administration and conservatives.
I can understand if someone, it's easy not to like Donald Trump's personality, but if you're a lifelong conservative and a lifelong Republican, it's too important to vote against the Democratic platform now than to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If you can't vote for Donald Trump, I told someone this week, if you can't bring yourself to vote for Donald Trump, vote against socialism. And I think that's what you have to do.
Well, and again, we talked. We had a caller yesterday. I'd love to hear from you. 5618255. We had a caller yesterday, and personality flaws. I understand that. Okay, but we all have them. But I would much rather vote for a guy that's got personality flaws, but his word is good. What he says he's going to do, he will do. And I just think they need to keep this theme over and over again, promises made, promises kept. Because that's the one thing that he can say that Joe Biden cannot say.
Yeah, that's a great tagline. I thought that was great last night.
That's a big statement.
It is a good statement. Thank you, Mr. President. By the way, we talked yesterday about the fact that Nancy Pelosi said she didn't think that Joe Biden should debate. She reversed course today. She came out and she said, "Oh, Joe Biden's a great debater. He'll do fine. He should debate. Oh yeah." Which, look, I will go out. I've been going out on a limb. I've been saying this for months. I don't think he's going to debate. And this is the one time I hope I am wrong. I hope lots of callers call in and say, "Oh, Lamprecht, you got it wrong. Look, he debated."
I've never thought all along he would debate either. They'll come up with some either ridiculous demands for the debates that Trump won't agree to, and then
they'll say that, we wanted to debate, but he won't do it.
So I'm fully expecting to come out now with the whole tax return thing and say, hey, if he's not going to, give his tax returns to us, we're not going to debate. So I'm like you. I don't think there will be debates.
So Rand Paul last night is leaving the White House. And apparently he wasn't the only one this happened to, but he and his wife were leaving the White House, trying to walk figuratively across the street. I mean, it wasn't very far, a block or two, to their hotel after the events. And if you watched the speech last night, you could hear constantly in the background horns blowing. I think they handled it right. I think you ignore it. Okay, we're there. There's no there. We're just going to ignore it and pretend it's not there. But you could notice it. But they're leaving to go back to their hotel. Rand Paul literally came out talking to Fox News, Fox and Friends this morning, and said, "Look, I think we would have either been severely injured or killed by these people had it not been for the Capitol Police literally surrounding us as a wall." At one point, one of the police officers who was trying to protect Rand Paul and his wife started to trip, and Rand Paul said he reached over and helped him get his balance and get back up. But he said it was unbelievable. And, what's unbelievable is how this mob continues to turn to violence. But when you look at somebody like this young 17-year-old up in Kenosha fight back, suddenly these violent people are just, they're flabbergasted that someone would use violence against them. And I want to get more to that story. But Representative Jim Banks, who I think he's out of Florida, no, he was talking about Brian Mast, who is out of Florida, but he's from Indiana. Jim Banks from Indiana made a great point that just in the last couple of days, Nancy Pelosi has condemned the Republican Party, saying that they are the enemies, that they are the enemy of the state.
Enemies of the state.
And for her to come out and say that, and look, they talk about how Trump's rhetoric is causing violence. Well, they never say what exactly. I will say what exactly with Nancy Pelosi. When you call somebody enemies of the state, and you've got a bunch of violent thugs out there, are you not fueling? Are you not putting gasoline on the fire?
Well, how quickly does she forget? Congressman Steve Scalise.
Oh yeah.
A few years ago, that rhetoric, and what would this rhetoric cause? And it's just because there's a lot of extremists out there that hears that rhetoric, and they can say what they talk about Donald Trump. He may get personal, and he gets a lot more personal than I like, but he really never says anything that's so extreme like Nancy Pelosi said this week.
Well, and they continue to go back, and for them, their connection of the dots is a lot more ambiguous. Because they'll say, because he's building a border wall and because he wants to have secure borders, he's xenophobic and racist. That's just a leap too far.
Yeah, and and there's so many of them that voted for border wall security for so many years. So now all of a sudden, because Donald Trump, it was a campaign slogan, they're all of a sudden all against it now. So,
by the way, Michael Moore came out in an interview today and tweets and basically said, "Are you ready for a Trump victory?" He is looking at more and more of the polling, and we've talked about Rasmussen came out with a new poll, had it as a dead heat. Zogby came out and had the approval rating of Donald Trump up to 52%. You have the highest approval rating of a Republican presidential candidate in modern history at 29%. And the latest statewide presidential poll done by Traffica, the Traffica group, found that the president has closed the gap in the Michigan race, which is, again, that's a swing state. Biden at 46.6 and Trump at 45.2. So Michael Moore, who you remember Michael Moore? Now, I'm no Michael Moore fan, but you remember Michael Moore came out early on in the Hillary Clinton Donald Trump race and said Donald Trump's going to win this thing. And now it sounds like he's saying that again. Hey, we've got to take a time out. 561-8255. We'll get to your phone calls as soon as we get back. Stay with us. More news and views with Tom and Benny. We'll be right back.
Jim Clement from Town Insurance is with me in the studio. Jim, this has been an interesting time for everyone. What has Town Insurance done differently during the crisis?
First, Henry, we've tried to put our people first, make sure that they're safe in their working environment, and we've been able to adopt a policy where people are working remotely from home on a rotational basis. Secondly, we've got to be realistic about the situation we're dealing with. We're all being impacted one way or the other by this pandemic, and we've got to acknowledge the reality of the situation and try to stay positive for our employees as well as our clients.
You work with a lot of different insurance carriers, Jim. What are they doing for your clients right now?
Each of these carriers is trying to establish what is the new normal, and that means being flexible in payments and being adaptable to change.
You guys are the best, Jim. We appreciate your information and what you're doing for your clients right now. For more information, call Town Insurance at 252-756-8300. And as Jim always says,
it's time to come to town.
Selling a home can be full of hassles. Prep the house, show the house, replace this, fix that. Hi, my name is Homer Tire, owner of Tire Realty Group, and that is why we created TRG Offers to simplify your home selling process. You'll receive an instant offer so you can sell your home immediately for maximum convenience and a traditional list price for maximum value. The choice is yours. Go to trgoffers.com. That's trgoffers.com to get your home sold and start packing.
Ahoy, mateys! To keep those cars clean, you need the Pirates Cove Fast Pass.
The new Pirates Cove Car Wash on 10th Street is now open. The 10th Street location is offering Fast Passes for $9.99 for new Fast Pass customers. These Fast Passes will be good at all 3 Greenville locations. Visit us on Fire Tower Road, Memorial Drive, and now on East 10th Street. And coming soon, Haviland Express Lube and Pirates Cove Car Wash in New Bern.
So we have you surrounded. Pirates Cove, the official car wash partner of ECU Athletics.
We don't see a lot of Wall Street CEOs or billionaires in rural North Carolina. Things are different here. We work hard, raise our kids right, and pull together when we need to. And we don't like being taken advantage of. Problem is, Senator Tom Tillis sided with corporate America, not rural America. He may say the right things when he's here, but he's doing things that hurt rural North Carolinians, especially on health care. See, Tillis voted to let insurance companies kick us off our coverage if we have a pre-existing condition like cancer or asthma. Tillis even voted to cut funding for rural hospitals, and nearly a dozen here have closed in recent years. Hospitals that rural North Carolina desperately needs during a pandemic. Tell Tom Tillis to stop backing the big insurance companies and start supporting the Rebuild Rural America Act, because rural North Carolina is sick of being taken advantage of. Paid for by duty and honor.
It's time for America to get back up!
The countdown to November 3rd continues.
2020 is looking really easy.
Now it's back to news and views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome back in. Tom Lamprecht, Benny Hardy. Benny is sitting in with us today. Not as good looking as Sadie was, or is. but don't have the hair that Sadie had, by the way.
Yeah, that's it, the hair.
Take a look at your weather forecast. The chance of showers and thunderstorms tonight. Chance of rain is only 20% tonight, but tomorrow afternoon it jumps up to 60%. Tomorrow night, more rain possible with a low around 72. Tomorrow's high is going to be in the low 90s, upper 80s, low 90s. And Sunday is the day to get out and have some fun. Mostly sunny with a high near 87, and the humidity is supposed to drop. So there's your weekend weather forecast. 561-8255. Donna has been waiting patiently. Hey, Donna.
Hey. So I just have a few things to say.
Okay.
And one is my daughter is a registered Democrat, and I have converted her.
Well, thank you.
So we do have we have another Donald Trump supporter. And as far as promises made, promises kept.
Wait a minute. Before you get into that,
that
before you get into that, Donna, did the convention have anything to do with your daughter changing her mind?
No, she had actually changed her mind probably 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay, all right. But what was the main reason she changed her mind?
Well, I just gave her things to research. We talked a lot, disagreed a lot, and finally she went out and just started taking what I was giving her and fact checking and, going back through the Democratic Party. And she was very upset that Biden was a chosen candidate, not by, it's almost like her way of explaining it to me is they picked someone that they thought could win the election, but is not mental and stable enough. So she felt her vote would not count either way.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
They were just.
I don't know that her logic of picking someone that could win the election was sound, but there you go. Anyway, I'm glad to have her. Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Right.
Hey, Donna, this is Benny. Just tell your daughter there is hope, because I'm a recovering Democrat myself from many years ago.
Oh, yes. I'm just ecstatic because we've been through this all through Obama and everything. So, I mean, it was not an easy task, but it was definitely done.
Well, so, what did was it Churchill that said, if you're not a liberal when you're 21, then you have no heart. If you're not a conservative by the time you're 50, you have no brain. So she's coming along.
Right. Well, hey, yeah, she made it there at 34.
There you go. Well, she's ahead of
34,
schedule.
So.
She's ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
So your promises made, promises kept, you wanted to talk about.
Okay. The only promise, and I know he's done a lot, and I've always been 100% Trump supporter. Term limits. He's got to do something about term limits this next 4 years.
Well, that's going to take a constitutional amendment. Now he can use his bully pulpit to help that make that happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the same page with you on that, and I am as well. I've a lot of people say we've got term limits every time you go to vote, but the franking privileges are just too hard to overcome. I would love to see them have term limits, and I think also if you got term limits in there, it would help reduce the bureaucracy. Now, I've also heard people use the argument, well, okay, you're going to get rid of the elected official, but you still have the bureaucrats. But I think the reduction of bureaucrats up in D.C. and up in, well, of course, it's two different offices. Just because we had them for Congress and Senate doesn't mean we're going to have them on the state level. But I think you will begin to reduce the bureaucracy as you introduce term limits. So we'll see.
Yeah, well,
we'll
and
see.
I just always recall him saying, we got to have term limits.
Yep.
Got to have term limits. So even if he can't make it done, if he makes it voiceful, if he makes it look like he's doing it, but attempting to do it, he's going to fall more in line with what a lot of us want is those term limits.
Well, I think the other thing you got to remember is he can't be elected again. So if he's elected this time, if the Democrats didn't like what he did the first 4 years, look out, 'cause it's going to be fun the second 4 years. I mean, he's going to really roll up his.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Donna, thanks
All
for
right.
the call.
Well, thank you
Appreciate
for your
it.
time.
You bet. Have a great weekend. 5618255. Let's go to Patrick. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, sir. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Doing well. Good to hear from you.
Good. Yes, sir. Look, I have a question for you. I've been trying to think about it in my mind. So a lot of people are leaving New York, Los Angeles, a lot of bigger cities to these smaller rural counties. Do you see that swinging an election per se? Not technically this year, but in following years, from a red county to possibly a blue county?
You know, I think that is somebody had mentioned that to us a month ago, as whether or not they asked the very similar question what you're asking, whether or not this was a deliberate plan by liberals to try to take some of these conservative states and make them not so conservative. And I don't know that they actually planned this out and said, hey, let's have a bunch of riots in these northern cities so we can move some people out. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do think that the end result definitely could be that some of these more conservative states are a little less conservative, with people from California moving to Texas, with people from Ohio moving to North Carolina. And, you know, I think that's a viable concern.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, good deal. Thank you for the answer.
Yep. Thanks for listening, Patrick. Thanks for the call. 5618255. So this kid up in Kenosha, the 17-year-old kid in Kenosha, his name is Kyle Rittenhouse. I didn't have any empirical evidence the day after this shooting took place, but I said earlier this week, I said, how can this be anything but self-defense? And now there's more evidence coming out that it looks like it was indeed self-defense. I mean, it is sad that people have lost their lives, but again, when you're trying to protect property and you have people that are just thugs. I mean, there was a video on last night, I think it was on Tucker Carlson, where a woman who owned a mattress shop in Kenosha, a friend of hers came over trying to put out the fire with a fire extinguisher. And he was using the fire extinguisher, and some people were coming out of the building, and he was spraying them with the fire, sort of using the fire extinguisher as a way to shoo these people away. And this thug comes up and takes a brick. I mean, he's less than 2 feet away from the guy, right in his face, and throws a brick at his head as hard as he possibly could. Broke the guy's jaw, could have killed him.
Unbelievable.
And you have the other situation back in Seattle 2 nights ago, where these thugs took ready-mix cement, a bag of quick-dry cement, put it in front of the exit door of this police precinct, smashed the card lock with a hammer, and then set the building on fire. I mean, those two examples of how is this not a different form of murder? How is this any different than taking a gun and aiming it at someone and shooting? I mean, it is absolutely murder. So you have this situation with this kid, Carl Rittenhouse, he was from Illinois, goes over to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and is helping, I don't know if it was a friend or he just felt like it was his duty. And maybe he's a 17-year-old, maybe he shouldn't have been there, but he had every right to be there. And he was defending this property. He was attacked. He did not pull the first, the evidence now is that the first shot was not fired by him. It was fired by somebody else. Don't know if it was a bad guy or somebody defending the property. But after he heard that shot, he began to run. I think he shot once or twice into the air. They came after him. At one point, he went down. To make a long story short, 2 people were shot and killed, but it sounded there were people grabbing at him. There was someone who had a skateboard that hit him across the head with it. There was someone else that came up and kicked him in the head. Somebody else came to try to grab his gun from him. He was defending himself.
Yeah, don't bring a skateboard to a gunfight. But, you know, all the video that's out there, and maybe some more video will surface, but there's too much video of him running away from the crowd,
yes,
defending himself. I just,
I have a hard time understanding how this can be first-degree murder by any imagination. The guy that defended Nick Sandmann, now we don't know what the payoff was from CNN to the Nick Sandmann family. Some people are saying it's $25 million, but this guy named Lynn Wood, Lynn Wood, was the attorney that represented Nick Sandmann. He is going to represent this young man, Kyle Rittenhouse, and already the people in the mainstream media, the MSNBCs and others, they didn't learn their lesson. They're already calling this young man, Kyle Rittenhouse, a white supremacist, as did Ayanna Presley. She's one of the squad members out of Massachusetts. She came out and said a 17-year-old white supremacist domestic terrorist. That's what she called him. So, and again, who are the terrorists here? Who are the terrorists here? I don't think it's this young man trying to protect property. Even the New York Times has analyzed Rittenhouse's movements that evening and found the New York Times has come out and said this kid was acting in self-defense.
As you see the interview prior to the shooting, someone on the ground just interviewed this kid just maybe minutes before all this went down, and he explained himself what he was doing there and that type of thing. So, there's all sorts of video out there that.
Well, apparently he also the police officers there were trying to disperse the crowd with pepper spray. And one of the rioters had pepper spray in his eyes, and this young man was actually helping the individual that couldn't see and was helping. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was aiding this individual. So it's bizarre. At the end of the day, though, there's no way this young man is going to be convicted. There was a comment. To that degree that this just isn't going to happen. The idea that this young man is going to be tried and found guilty of first-degree murder is not going to happen. But again, why do you go there before the evidence is out that you're wanting to arrest him for first-degree murder charges? And maybe they'll back down rather quickly. But unfortunately, if they tried him for first-degree murder, he's going to get off. And what are you going to have? More riots.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Hey, we're going to take another time out. Stay with us. Love to hear from you. 561-8255. When we get back, there's a story out there. The mainstream media idiots are having convulsions because of something that Ivanka Trump said last night. Rather benign, but they're going bananas. We'll have that when we get back.
Dogwood State Bank is not only the newest bank in Eastern Carolina, they're committed to being the best local bank. Through their branches in Greenville, Morehead City, and Wilmington, they're offering their customers competitive rates, the latest financial products, and the local touch that banking has lost. And it's no surprise because Dogwood State Bank President Steve Jones is a pirate. He knows the market's needs and is committed to creating the best local banking experience east of Raleigh. Learn more at dogwoodstatebank.com. Member FDIC.
It's not just a home or a car. It's your Ultra HD flat screen you bought just in time for football season. And that third car so your team can drive to practice. While other insurance companies just see them as a bundle or combo, State Farm agent Merle Green and his team sees your home and car as things you work really hard for. Merle understands what they mean to you and is here to help you give them the protection they deserve. Talk with State Farm agent Merle Green and his licensed staff in Williamston for your home and auto insurance today.
Wild birds unlimited, don't you feel them around you? The song is everywhere.
Even though it's still warm outside, it's August, and fall is just around the corner. Wild Birds Unlimited in Greenville has just received their colorful fall flags and garden flags, mailbox covers, and mat mates for your home. Also, Wild Birds Unlimited wants you to remember that birds need water to bathe and drink. A source of water is important in providing a backyard habitat for your birds. From decorative stone and glass bird baths to water drippers and misters, Wild Birds Unlimited has what you need to fulfill your bird's water wishes. Add a splash of water to your backyard. Visit Wild Birds Unlimited today. Wild Birds Unlimited, located in Greenville across from Kickback Jack's in the Promenade Shopping Center. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, Sunday, 1 to 5.
Wild Birds Unlimited, we bring people and nature together.
On the north shore of the Pungo River, just 8 miles from the massive Pamlico Sound, lies the beautiful town of Belhaven. This picturesque community has attractive historic buildings, shops, restaurants, and incredible open water views. Come to Belhaven and find out why the boats stop here.
O'Neill's Drugs offers the fastest and friendliest service in Belhaven. Located on the corner of Main Street near 264 Bypass, their family's been taking care of families like yours since 1932. Visit them at o'neillsdrug.com.
That's So Marty on Water Street is your location for monograms. Enjoy custom digitizing with quick service without the long drive to Washington or Greenville. Marty also teaches classes in quilting, sewing, smocking, making one-of-a-kind tuppets, and your first monogram is free. That's So Marty.
Andrew Fisher with Coldwell Banker Coastal Rivers Realty has been providing professional real estate services for over 50 years. Involved in his community, Andy can help with buying or selling residential property, land, and investment properties. Give Andy Fisher a call at 945-7028.
We choose truth over facts.
No matter what he says.
I got hairy legs.
No matter what he does.
And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Just goes to show you that this election is anything but normal.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black, play the radio. Make sure the television,
The countdown to the presidential election continues on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome back in, and we're talking about the convention. Will Trump get a post-convention bump? I think he will. I think you're really not going to be able to tell for sure how much the bump is, probably for another several, they're doing polling now, but it's really not going to probably show up until sometime next week at the earliest. But it's pretty obvious that Joe Biden got 0 bump. But we'll see where it goes. The event last night was well done. And again, we were just talking during the break. Did they have too many Donald Trump family members in there? I'd love to hear Trump, and I thought Ivanka did an okay job. But they had some other family members and close relations that maybe got too much face time. I'm not knocking. I mean, it is the Trump family. I understand that, but I thought the most effective ones were just the everyday mom and pop. The other one that was very effective was, I can't remember their name, but it was the couple that came on last night. They had lost their daughter to ISIS.
Yes.
That was very powerful.
Yeah.
That was very powerful. She was captured in Turkey, and she was raped and executed by al-Baghdadi, and that was very powerful.
What was your favorite for the week and most effective, you thought, as far as the presenters, speakers?
I thought the Attorney General from Kentucky,
Daniel Cameron. Me too. Yeah.
I thought he hit it out of the park. And you talk about a rising star in the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but we've been doing this program for 11 years, and a number of years ago, I mean, it was probably early on we started doing this program, I said that the conservative movement will really be unstoppable when we see Black Americans beginning to get involved in the conservative movement, recognizing how the liberals have used them and assumed you're going to vote for us. And again, going back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, when Lyndon Johnson said, well, these blankety-blank ends will be voting for us for the next 200 years after this. And there is the abuse, and don't you dare get off the liberal plantation, or we're gonna pull you back in. And I think there are more and more. I mean, it's unbelievable how many blacks have realized that, and they are leading others. I mean, it's snowballing now, where a number of Black Americans have said, I am done with liberalism. It goes against my Christian faith, and it's based on a bunch of empty promises. And the only people that benefit are those people up in, the select few up in Washington, D.C., who have their power structure protected. But the assumption is that we're supposed to continue to vote. And, from Mark Robinson all the way to the Attorney General up in Kentucky, it is exciting to see how a lot of these young black men and women are starting to take the burden on their back, and they're running with it.
Well, I'm from Eastern North Carolina, lived here my whole life, and the people of color that I've known my entire life, blacks and Hispanics in particular, they're all conservative. They've always been conservatives, just about everyone I know, and I think they're finally starting to wake up. I don't believe in anything this party stands for, and I think you're going to see more and more in active roles in the party.
And finally, the Planned Parenthood, myth has been, the curtain has been pulled back on that, and you have more and more, blacks saying, "Wait a minute, why are we being targeted? Why, who is Margaret Sanger? Wait a minute, what is this eugenics stuff?" So I think it's going in the right direction.
I think the RNC, if they don't take a few lines from Daniel Cameron's presentation and Herschel Walker's and maybe a couple more,
Herschel Walker was powerful,
and just make it a quick 15-second commercial over and over and over again, that should start next week.
Jack Brewer,
the
former NFL player, he was strong. There was a number of folks, but even the non-politicians. There was a young woman, I think she said she was from Texas, who talked about how she and her kids, she had gotten her college degree, but things weren't going well, and they were homeless for a while. And she just shared her story and how, this apprenticeship program she got involved with that Donald Trump has been pushing and Ivanka Trump has been pushing, and how she's getting ready to buy her first new home. There's so many powerful comments that, again, I think the Democrats have got to be shaking in their boots. But one of the interesting things last night was when Ivanka Trump was getting ready to introduce her dad, she had talked about the fact that, we weren't really sure what things were going to be like when we moved down here to Washington, D.C. And but one of the things that happened right away was that her son, Joseph, got a Lego set and built a model of the White House and gave it to his grandpa, Donald Trump. And that Donald Trump proudly displays this in the Oval Office. She set up on the mantle of the Oval Office and shows it to people, world leaders, when they come in, what a wonderful grandchild he's got. Believe it or not, and this is how desperate the mainstream media is to try and change the narrative of this race. They have nothing to hang their hat on. So what are they trying to make a scandal? Business Insider actually put two journalists, Sarah Al-Shanari and Jacob Shamian, they were assigned to thoroughly explore this alleged scandal. Did the grandson actually build the Lego set of the White House? They say it couldn't have been done. This is unbelievable. Then they found out, okay, he did. All right, he did. But is it really on the mantle? She's lying about that. It's not on the mantle. So she then releases pictures, and okay, it wasn't on the mantle, but it was right behind his desk, on the table behind his desk. I mean, and we laugh at it and we scratch our heads and say, how idiotic are these morons? But the good news, we ought to be celebrating in this, because if this is what they have to go after, if this is how desperate they are, Donald Trump is in like Flint.
Hey, it proves the phrase Trump derangement syndrome.
Boy. And by the way, not to be outdone by the Trump family, I just want you to know that my older grandson has built the Capitol out of Legos, the San Francisco skyline, as well as New York City, and my younger grandson has built a skyline of London. So there you go. So it is, look, I don't know how old Joseph Trump is, but it's just, come on, you morons.
I can still feel the bruises on my feet stepping on Legos in the middle of the night when my boys are little.
I do as well. Legos, you never get tired of them. We got to take another time out. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When your job is to battle Mother Nature, you better arm yourself with the right tool, like a grasshopper mower. It doesn't wince at expansive acreage. It doesn't quit when the going gets tough. It doesn't slow down just because of a few obstacles. And it can handle just about anything nature throws at it. When the workday's done, its powerful deck makes it easy to store or maintain. Grasshopper mowers, first to finish, built to last.
For more information, see Larry at Snow Tractor on Highway 11 in Ayden or call 252-746-8200.
No one needs long car rides when they're feeling sick, so it's good to know Vidant offers quality care close to home. For help with colds and flu, see doctors online at vidantnow.com or visit our immediate care clinics for sprains and pains. And when it's more serious or life-threatening, go to the closest ER at your local Vidant hospital. With this many choices so near, you're always close to feeling better. Learn more at vidanthealth.com/carelocal.
Hey, this is Gray Fussell, and I'm a junior at East Carolina. In a few weeks, I'll be turning 21, and I hope to be celebrating a lot of pirate victories with a glass of Duplin wine. As a proud member of Duplin Winery's 4th generation of winemakers, I hope you'll join me. Duplin's deliciously sweet and easy-to-drink wines can be found in your favorite neighborhood store. Thanks for your support, and go Pirates. Oh, and if you see my mom, tell her she can finally stop hiding her hatters red. I'm legal.
Duplin Winery, the winery of the South, Rose Hill, North Carolina, and North Myrtle Beach.
Fantastic Sam's Cut and Color salons are open and ready to serve you. Let your stylist make you look fantastic with a professional consultation, free shampoo included, and scalp massage, and a fantastic cut and style. And as safety is our top priority, rest assured we are constantly cleaning and have implemented social distancing procedures. Fantastic Sam's, affordable by design, caring by nature. Call for an appointment today with locations in Goldsburg, Kinston, Greenville, Newburgh, Morehead City, Jacksonville, and Calabash.
For more than 85 years, families in and surrounding Pitt County have trusted Wilkerson Funeral Home and the Wilkerson family to serve them when they have experienced the loss of a loved one.
With the addition of Farmer Funeral Service in Ayden, we now have 3 traditional funeral homes, each with their own chapel, serving all faiths. We also recently introduced Winterville Cremation and Funeral Services, a new concept created to better serve families seeking a simpler and less costly funeral.
From the combination of our successful pre-need program, our multi-garden cemetery featuring traditional burial, mausoleums, niches, and a new open-air chapel, the Wilkerson family continues to be innovative and the trusted choice in funeral care. Let us introduce you to the growing Wilkerson family of companies. Chances are we may have already touched your family. If so, we thank you. If not, you can count on and trust us to serve your family with the same dignified and compassionate care that we have been known for since 1932.
To learn more, visit wilkersonfuneralhome.com.
Back to news and views. Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in, 8 minutes before 6. Hey, I finally have found something that I can agree with the founder of Black Lives Matter. I know, that's unbelievable. Patrisse Cullors, co-founder of Black Lives Matter, she has now called upon Hollywood to go on strike. I have no problem with that at all. Look, I think that's a great idea. Quit making movies for a couple of years. Nobody's going to miss you, and it might actually elevate the moral fiber of our culture.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, she said I think it's time for talent writers, executives, the Guild, the SAG to show up for Black Lives as well. Join the strike. Now's the time, and our movement is really looking to unions to step up in a particular way, and we say we're going to hold back on allowing the exploitation and degradation of the black communities to continue under our watch. I think Hollywood can really show up at this moment. So go ahead, guys. Go ahead. Go on strike.
I guess she doesn't realize they haven't been working for about 4 months.
So, you know, who's missing the NBA? Not me.
I'm done with it.
Well, I love college basketball. I have not watched an NBA game. I'm talking about, I haven't watched 30 seconds of an NBA game for years.
Well, the game's completely changed from what it was, and back in the Jordan and the end of Bird and Magic's career, I really liked it. But the game has changed so much now that it's I don't see how I can be entertained by it, really.
Civitas came out with an article written by a guy named Andy Jackson yesterday. This is unbelievable. The State Board of Elections is going to need to give an apology to McCrae Dallas. He was the guy that has been Did they ever find him guilty? Is he actually in jail now? He was the guy that was working on the Mark Harris campaign and ballot harvesting, basically. By state law, absentee ballots can only be transmitted by mail or by commercial courier service at the voter's expense, or delivered in person by the individual or by the voter's near relative or verifiable legal guardian. But now the State Board of Elections director has told local boards, county boards of elections, to accept illegally transmitted ballots.
Wow.
Yes. Unbelievable. On August 21st, State Board of Elections Executive Director Karen Brinson Bell issued a memo to county boards of elections on the absentee voting process. There are a couple of deficiencies with the memo, but anyway, long story short, failure to comply with the logging requirement or delivery of an absentee ballot by a person other than the voter, the voter's near relative, or the voter's legal guardian is not sufficient evidence in and of itself to establish that the voter did not lawfully vote their ballot. A county board shall not disapprove an absentee ballot solely because it was delivered by someone who was not authorized to possess the ballot. The county board may, however, consider the delivery of a ballot in accordance with the rule, gives the statute, in conjunction with other evidence in determining whether the container return envelope had been properly executed. But she doesn't say how. She doesn't say how you're going to ascertain whether or not it was properly given, but she does say, but okay, you're not going to negate it. The state law says, no, it's got to be delivered by either the U.S. Mail Service or a legal courier or a relative or the individual. End of report.
That's true.
Why are we suddenly and this is not a state legislature. This is a legislator. This is an individual who's been appointed to carry out the laws of the land.
And who was she appointed by?
Governor Cooper.
There you go.
The same guy that said, oh, you don't need a signature on there. You talk about fraud. This is unbelievable. Folks, if Donald Trump loses this election, it's not going to be because he didn't get enough votes. It's because there were too many fraudulent votes. Benny Hardy, thank you, sir, for sitting in. Let's do it again.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
Hey, have a great weekend. I'll do it again on Monday at 5. I'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
Divorce is never